All right, everybody, welcome back. We have one more sort of lesson here when it comes to factoring. And I got to tell you guys, all right, I really hope that you're putting a lot of effort and paying a lot of attention to all this factoring stuff, because believe me when I tell you that there's going to be a lot of stuff, not just in the following years to come in high school math, where you need to know factoring. There's going to be stuff directly from me in chapter. We're going to do chapter 4. We're going to do chapter 8. We're going to chapter 6. There's going to keep being more and more factoring. Okay, that's one of the reasons why I'm making sure here to finish up this chapter X. Okay, we need to really be strong with factoring. So I hope you're asking questions, and I hope you're coming to see me in my office hours or whatever, because if you don't get a pretty good grip on all this factoring, it's going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride for you with the rest of Algebra 2. Just saying. So now that I've said that, now that I've made my point, we do have one more little thing I want to teach you about factoring. And, like I've been doing, let's start this off by a little bit of remember how factoring is like unmultiplying? Well, let's show you something here. I mean, since we're talking about one more method of UnFOIL, here's something else I want to show you that can happen with FOIL. Okay? Firsts, outers, inners, lasts. FOIL. And so watch what happens. 3x times x, that is 3x squared. And then 3x times positive 4 is positive 12x. And now we distribute the negative 2. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. And then negative 2 times 4, positive 4 that is negative 8. And then when we go to combine those suckers, because they're like terms, positive 12x, negative 2x results in a positive 10x. Now, why did I do this? Because I want to show you that, so the negative 2 times the positive 4, that does in fact get you a negative 8 here. But unlike what's been happening in the last couple of videos and stuff, negative 4 plus negative 2 plus 4 is not positive 10. So these two numbers lately have been multiplying to get that last number, but just adding up to get that middle number. Why did that not happen here? Why? Why is this middle number not a positive 2x, negative 2 plus 4? Why do we end up with a 10x? Well, here's pretty much the reason. Since this term out here was not just an x, it was a 3x, okay? Since that was a 3x, this term here didn't end up being 4x, okay? Because if that would have just been an x, then this term here would have just been a 4x. But since that was a 3x, this turned into a 12x. And so it kind of threw a major, wrench into the gears or whatever. And now it's not like we end up with this 10x, which is not just negative 2 plus 4. So the bottom line here, as far as having an impact on factoring, we got to be aware of this. So that's the whole reason for this final section, X.8 we're finishing with here. And let me show you. Number one, first of all, no GCF. Always check for that first. Okay? No GCF. So maybe this can unfoil. But I'm telling you, because that leading term is a 2x squared and not just x squared, this, whoa, this, this 2 way out in front is screwing everything up. We can no longer play the game of, oh, what two numbers multiply to make 6, but they also add up to 7. That game no longer applies, right? Now, I don't want to keep talking your ears off here, but when I was your age, what I had to do was just keep on like mixing and matching and guessing and checking different bubbles. Like I literally, it was like, well, I mean, what two bubbles would multiply together to make, oh goodness gracious, sorry. Anyway, as I was saying, what two bubbles would multiply together to get this answer? You know, your bubbles would have to start off with 2x and x. That's good. You know, but then, you know, your bubbles could end with positive 6 and positive 1, or vice versa, or positive 3. And there was all this mixing and matching to do. And it had to be just right to end up with that 7x in the middle. I hope you understand at least kind of what I'm saying here. When I was your age, what a pain in the neck that was. Like literally guessing and checking, you know, and until you get lucky, right? But I'm not even going to go there. Like if this was normal class, I might actually write out every single possibility of two bubbles that could multiply together, you know, based on what I have here, until I get the correct answer. It's not fun. The good news is I am going to teach you this amazing method, which you just do it and it works out. And without any further ado, let me show you what I'm talking about. So when you find yourself in this situation, no GCF, you want to try to unfoil, but we have this number on front there. Okay? We're going to apply this Phoenix method, where the first thing we do is we multiply that number, which we're going to be calling the Phoenix, okay? This number, this 2 that's causing us all this headache, we're going to multiply the 2 to that 6, and in a way, we are killing the Phoenix. So that 2 pretty much slides over there to multiply to the 6. And now what we have is x squared plus 7x plus 12. So the Phoenix has burned up. It's been killed. And now what we do is we take this. Now that it's just x squared, now we can do like some pretty easy unfoil. Now we can say what two numbers multiply to get 12, but they also add up to 7. That's a positive 12 and a positive 7. So we're talking about positive 3 and positive 4. Now, we are not done. We are not done. The next step, I want you to think about, what do phoenixes do? Like, what is special about the mythological phoenix? You know, phoenixes rise from the ashes. They come back to life. So now, once we've created our two easy bubbles, now is the time for the phoenix to rise from the ashes. And it's almost like poetic. The phoenix was destroyed by multiplication. It's going to rise from the ashes through division. Killed by multiplication, brought back by division. So now we have these two fractions. We take these two numbers and we divide by that number. And now what we have is two fractions, and the rest of this problem goes like this. We're we're going to take these two fractions we now have. We are going to reduce them if you can. So this one does not reduce, 3 over 2 does not reduce, but 4 over 2 pretty much is 2 over 1, which is just 2. That divides cleanly. Okay? So now what we do, now that we've reduced any fraction we can, is we take any denominator that's still there. So in this case, we still have this denominator of 2, and we are going to just move that 2 and put it right up there in front of the x. Like literally move it or relocate it. So now this bubble becomes 2x plus 3, and guess what? That's the answer. Okay, you just follow those steps and you end up with the two bubbles that would multiply together to get 2x squared plus 7x plus 6. Okay, so number 2. Once again, no GCF. So we want to try to unfoil this, but you see that 6 there. So the first step is to slide it to the other end, kill the phoenix, and multiply it to that final number. Now we can unfoil easy like, and I know I'm taking some liberties here going kind of fast, but I'm not going to reteach you stuff we've already gone over. So those are the two bubbles. I mean, I will if you show up in my office hours, don't get me wrong. Just not right now. So what's next? Once we've made our easy bubbles, now it's time for the phoenix to rise again from the ashes, the 6 by division. And what happens next is we reduce the fractions if we can. And guess what? 8 over 6 reduces to 4 over 3, doesn't it? And 3 over 6 reduces to 1 over 2. And the final step is to bump up any denominator we have left. So this time it's both bubbles that have a denominator that can bump up in front of the x in that bubble. And that's it. That's how it's done. A couple more examples. Again, as always, feel free to pause and try this yourself before watching me do it. But here we go. Once again, I know I'm like a broken record, but you got to check for a GCF first. Nope, no GCF. So if we're going to unfoil this, looks like it's going to be through Phoenix method. Okay, so slide that to the other end, killing the phoenix. And now I'm hoping, because if this doesn't unfoil the easy way, then this is we've reached a dead end. It doesn't factor at all. Okay, let me say that again. If you start the Phoenix method and you got it going, you know, you're in the middle of the Phoenix method, but you get to this part and this flat out does not unfoil, like there are not two numbers that multiply to get positive 24, but they also add up to negative 11, guess what? That means it doesn't factor at all. That can, I mean, I don't think you're going to see that happen a lot, but it could totally happen. Anyway, the two numbers that multiply to get positive 24, but also add up to negative 11 is, of course, negative 8 and negative 3. And now, of course, it's time for the phoenix, this time the phoenix is a 4, to rise from the ashes. 8 over 4, that's plain old, that divides clean, that's 2. 8 divided by 4 is just 2. 3 over 4, that does not reduce. Doesn't divide clean, doesn't even reduce. So the 4 is going to get bumped up. And that would be our answer for that one. One more to go. Pause if you want to before I go ahead. Anyway, once again, no GCF, so let's try Phoenix method unfoil. And that makes it into... What's 4 times negative 5? 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. And now, what two numbers multiply to get negative 20, but they add up to positive 8? Oh my goodness, let's write these out. Positive 1 and negative 20. Nope. Negative 1 and positive 20? That's not really much better. How about positive 2 and negative 10? Positive 2 and negative... That makes negative 8. Oh, it must be negative 2 and positive 10. I think I'm going out of my mind. You're probably thinking right now, Mr. Falk, you've been quarantined too long. You're going out of your stinking mind. So anyway, we've done the quick, easy UnFOIL. Now it's time for the phoenix to rise from the ashes. And then what do we do with these fractions? We reduce if we can. That one reduces. So does this one. 5/2. And now we have to bump those... Let's see, when we move that 2, it's still a -1. And then we bump that denominator up in front. And there we go.